Selamat sore semuanya. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar titled Benefit and Incentive for Investment in Special Economic Zone. My name is Pinkan Mokalu. I'm the Executive Director of SwissGem Indonesia, and I'm very excited to be welcoming you all to today's session. Thank you everyone who are here today. A very special welcome to our speakers, Bapak Nur Fuad Fitrianto from Indonesia Investment Coordinating Board. Welcome Pak Fuad. Mr. Stanley Eng from PT Kawasan Industri Kendal. And of course, our moderator for today, Bapak Robi Gunawan, who is our Head of Fiscal, Custom and Excise Sectoral Group. Before I hand over to Pak Robi, there are a few housekeeping topics that I would like to cover. First, today's presentation material will be sent to you after the live session, and it will be available in our website. Second, please put your microphone on mute during the presentations to avoid any noise disturbances. And finally, if you have any question for our speaker, please wait until the end of both Pak Fuad and Pak Stanley's presentation, where we will have a question and answer section to address them. Now let me hand over the microphone to Pak Robi Gunawan, who will say a few words and introduce the speakers for today. Silakan Pak Robi.
Thank you. Thank you, Pinkan. So, first of all, thank you for both Pak Fuad and Pak Stanley for allowing time during your busy schedule to help us doing this webinar. So we are entering already the last year of very challenging 2020, and without a doubt, this is a year that we call it a year of reset, where many things are need to be changed. The way we work is also changing. This webinar is a typical example of our weekly schedules now. We were talking just before this that sometimes it is very tiring. Or jumping from one webinar to another, but nevertheless, it gives us idea to learn about many new things. And one of the things that we want in Swisscam, we are, our vision is to be the leading service platform for enhancement of bilateral trade, investment, and relation between Switzerland and Indonesia. And particularly, we like to give a lot of information for our member companies, as well as those that are interested about the recent changes in the investment landscape in Indonesia, about taxation, about government regulation, and that's falls within the working group, the fiscal, custom, and excise working group. So this webinar is it's an interesting platform to discuss some of that. If I read some of the news from BKPM, I think BKPM still set an ambitious target for next year for its investment realization for next year. I heard it's set at more than 858 trillion rupiah. Oh, that's very ambitious target. And it's we all know that investment is one of the most effective way of creating employment in a developing country like Indonesia. And we all know that in the global context, there are a lot of foreign investment relocation that are looking for a pivot or a second base alternative investment in different countries in Asia. And that is the global context. And I think without further ado, I let Pak Fuad to start the session. Pak Nur Fuad Fitrianto is the Acting Director of Investment Planning for Services and Zones BKPM. Following the first presentation, I will later on introduce the second speaker. Pak Fuad, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pak Robi Gunawan from Swiss Gem for giving me opportunity to have share with you about the current investment situation and also the development of our future development of the special economic zones in order to improve the investment competitiveness. And before I drew the slide of presentation, first of all, let me have some greeting to Ibu Pinkan Mokalu from Swiss Gem. Thank you, Bu, for inviting me in this important webinar. This is I think this is my first opportunity to have some discussion with Swiss Gem, and then Honorable Mr. Stanley Eng, and this is my colleague from CEO of the KI Kendal. I haven't met you for a long time, Pak Stanley, and ladies and gentlemen, the participant of the webinar. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, it's a great honor and pleasure to be in this webinar and to discuss this important topic with you. Thank you once again, indeed, for the invitation. And please allow me to explain to you in a brief about Indonesia Special Economic Zones, especially on benefit and incentive for private sectors, as well as what we have already done to improve our investment climate and doing business in special economic zones. Pak Yoga, as you know that the government continues to improve the competitiveness of economic infrastructure, to develop physical infrastructure and reform the institutional and legal aspect. Based on our president plan that in the next 5 years, still the infrastructure and investment as a pillar of the economic development on the next 5 years. And also, our president has also instructed us in the National Development Plan that infrastructure has to be developed in order to connect all the economic growth pole in Java and outside of Java. And the government encouraged investment in economic zones. Since that, as you know, that our challenges in the past 10 years, that the issue of imbalances and also issue of the lack of competitiveness of investment, especially in outside of Java, is still remain as our challenges in the next 5 years. As a part of a measure to redistribute economic activities across the islands, the government has developed several economic zones. And there are at least 87 industrial estates in the scale industrial states, and also 15 special economic zones that government already enacted since 2014 up to today. And as for your information, that based on BKPM data, the development of investment in 15 special economic zones to date is only 1.1% of national investment realization. only 1.1%. Located in special economic zones, 1.1% from total national investment realization. And 98% is dominated by industrial sector. And also I would like to share with you that the land occupation rate is relatively low, approximately about 18% from total land that are dedicated for special economic zones. So the opportunity is still a lot in special economic zones. Next slide, Pak Yoga. As you may already know that government Indonesia has established 15 special economic zones with total area of around 17,400 hectares. 11 special economic zones are now operating, while the rest are still in the development phase. I would say that Kendal are considered as the operate already based on the industrial estate, but just for the administration process, the Kendal is still need some process to be enacted as the already operated in case of special economic zones. And the presence of special economic zone is expected to build economic capacity and competitiveness at the national level through added industry and tourism and job value. Ladies and gentlemen, in terms of function, next slide, Pak Yoga, special economic zone is intended to support export-oriented industry and also flexible for domestic market. Special economic zones is developed by preparing areas with specific boundary, which have geopolitical and geostrategic advantage and serve to accommodate industrial activities, logistic, tourism, energy, technology, development, export processing, and the new activities that already enacted by the Cipta Kerja law to be as the location for the healthcare and education, which I believe have high economic value with the concept of not business as usual. And the government commitment, the next slide, Pak Yoga. The government commitment to develop special economic zones has been reflected in series of efforts to improve the operationalization of the economic zones. Business operating in the zone will receive various benefits and incentives such as tax reduction and exemptions, fulfillment of various basic infrastructure, and hassle-free red tape. The government still not satisfied. The government issued regulation number 12 2020, which provide a range of incentive and facilities for business investing in certain industries in special economic zones, such as tax holiday, corporate income tax deduction is available for the income received from the primary activities only. As you know that the primary activities only enacted by the coordinating Ministry of Economic Regulation based on the master plan that proposed by the owner of the special economic zones, and for this incentive fiscal that already introduced in GR number 12 to 2020, the investor may benefit to choose which tax holiday scheme that they would like to propose based on the regular basis or based on the special economic zones incentive, which an investor may choose which more benefit for them. And also business player who do not obtain the corporate income tax reduction or carry out activities outside of their main activities mentioned by the coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs Regulation may alternatively apply for an income tax allowance. Value-added tax, luxury goods sales tax is not collected. Exemption of import duty and excise, for example, import duty tariff 0% upon product with 40% local content. and other income tax facilities and incentives subject to certain conditions. The government also provides tax facilities for tourism, special economic zones. This is based on the characteristic of the investment business in tourism that already introduced in the GR number 12 to 2020, such as the new incentive that will provide is the allowance for the foreigners to have the property in the special economic zones. And other than taxation, custom, and access, the facilities also include following aspects: traffic of goods, manpower, immigration simplification, land and special planning, business license, and other matters. These are several facilities that government ready to provide for any investor who willing to invest in special economic zones. And on the government solution to encourage job creation, as I mentioned earlier, that through investment is the Omnibus Law on Job Creation, CK Law number 11, 2020, which have been signed by the President and has full force of law from 2nd November of 2020. The Omnibus Law consists of 10 chapters actually, including economic zones, and currently the government is under finalizing the implementing regulation of the Omnibus Law, including regulation for special economic zones, which is for in terms of the implementation of special economic zone, and as well as the GR for the incentive and facilities, which are set to be effective target by 1st January of 2021. So this is the target given by our President to all ministries. Some changes have been made to provide more business opportunities, to simplify the bureaucracy and institutional reform, to provide easier licensing services, as well as more incentives and facilities. As you know that currently BKPM has also mandated to prepare the draft of GR for the business licenses that have a new reform in the CK law, which in the future, I mean next year, hopefully, that government will introduce the new scheme of the business license based on the risk approach. I will try to share in more detail in the discussion later. And ladies and gentlemen, we are fully aware that there are still many homework to be done, such as the issuance of the government regulation revision, as I mentioned in above, that about the in terms of implementation of special economic zones, and for investor is related to the GR for the incentive and facilities. And also the issuance of Ministry of Finance regulation for fiscal facilities and other ministerial regulation in order to implement the GR mandated by the CK law. And the third one is the infrastructure development in the economic zones. This is also mandated by our President to improve the infrastructure that already committed by all stakeholders between the owner, the government, I mean the regional government, and also the central government, in order to commit to improve the infrastructure development in the access to the special economic zones. And also the last and but not least is, as already mentioned by Pak Robi Gunawan, that the investment target by the government in order to improve in the next year is a very optimistic, more than 860 trillion actually, as already mentioned to our chairman. So the challenges is how to implement all those things that already I mentioned in earlier about the investment reform of regulation in order to implement the SIKI law, and also the technical implementation of the fiscal incentive that investors are still waiting from the government to be enacted in the next year. So I expect that my explanation will give you some brief about a view of understanding on benefit and incentive of Indonesia special economic zones, and I hope we are still have some a common understanding that government is very serious in order to improve the investment competitiveness by creating special economic zones in order to attract more and more investment to be located in the special economic zones. Thank you, and time I will give to Pak Robi.
Thank you, Pak Fuad, for interesting presentation. I'm pretty sure there will be some question in the Q&A session regarding more specific points. Our next presentation is someone that is already have a lot of experience in Indonesia in property development. He has been in Indonesia for more than 23 years, I heard. Pak Stanley Ang, currently the CEO and chairman of Kawasan Industri Kendal, one of the special economic zone, one of the 15 special economic zone mentioned by Pak Fuad. I've been visiting Kawasan Industri Kendal and was impressed with the commitment and the speed of the development that has been done in that area for the last 2 years. So I let Pak Stanley to explain the strategy behind Kawasan Industri Kendal and also all the future plan. Pak Stanley, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pak Robi. Selamat sore, good afternoon to my good friend Pak Fuad. Indeed, we have not met for some time, yeah, Pak Fuad, almost a year. Good afternoon, Ibu Pinkan, and of course, Pak Robi. Thank you for the introduction just now. Actually, what Pak Robi is trying to say is that I'm more Indonesian than him. I've been in Indonesia since 1994. He just been in Indonesia at 2006. Oh, big difference, yeah, Pak Robi. Yeah. Anyway, today seminar to me turns out to be more like a reconnection with old friends rather than a seminar itself. And there's a good opportunity to meet up some friends, some new friends, and some old friends. And just to refresh, today's topic is benefits and incentive for investment in special economic zone. Next. Before I talk about something the series of tax and all that, let me share something, word of wisdom from Dalai Lama. He said, every year, visit a place you have not been before and do something you have not done before. Two parts, visit and do something. The first part, I don't think any of us can do that, and with COVID and all that, hardly we can go anywhere, you know. But the second part, I'm sure we have done. Now, we have done like this webinar, work from home, and if you are like me, probably we try to have multiple webinar at the same time with earphones going on, you know. And with me, I don't have much success with that, you know. Okay, but I'm sure some of us may have a better experience, okay, and able to do that. So we might not be able to go to some places, but definitely we have done something new, learning how to deal with the COVID, like what Pak Robi have just said. It's a reset for us. It's a year of reset. We have done something new. So from that, I suggest we just clip ourselves a hand. Very well done. At least we have done 50% of what Dalai Lama have asked us to do. Well done. Good job. Next slide, please. Now, today my topic is benefit and incentive in special economic zone. I will cover the following area. What is special economic zone? What are the benefits and incentive? And I will walk you through a short brief of Kawasan Economic Kendal, and then I will share with you a short video. Next. What is special economic zone, or we call it SEZ, but in Indonesia we call it Kawasan Ekonomi Khusus. It is an area in which business and trade laws are different from the rest of the country. It is located within the country, national borders, and aims to increase trade balance, employment, increase investment, job creation. The ultimate objective, of course, is to attract foreign and domestic investment. Now, this is like what Pak Fuad just said. The whole idea of a special economic zone is to say that it is no longer business as usual for Indonesia. No longer. We are going to a new era, new way of doing business. Next. This is a map, the 15 economic SEZ that Pak Fuad have shared just now. Now, I have circled Kendal. You see Kendal, Central Java, and you see circled that. Kendal Industrial Park is the only SEZ, industrial SEZ in Java Island. Now, when we talk about SEZ, we have two portions. One is the industrial SEZ, and the other one is tourism SEZ. And Kendal is the only industrial SEZ in Java Island. Next. Now, I will be walking you through some incentive. I think my good friend Pak Fuad have already walked you through. So I'm going to do some skipping here and there. And also thanks to Pak Fuad, he actually connect the incentive with the new job creation law. So that part again, I will skip. Thank you. Next. Now, when we talk about incentive under SEZ, it's basically divided into two columns. One is the fiscal incentive and the other is the non-fiscal. When we are talking about fiscal incentive, basically it comes down to three things. One, corporate income tax. Second, value-added tax. And of course, customer import tax. Now, here I give you an idea. When we talk about corporate income tax, what it says here is this, is that if you invest a certain amount, then you can enjoy a certain time frame of zero corporate income tax. Example, if you invest 100 billion, you can enjoy up to 10 years of free corporate income tax, and 15 years for 500 and so on. I will show you a table later on. Next. Now, for all, this is the value-added tax. For all value-added tax, like what Pak Fuad have just said, if it's for export, goods that deliver inside, it is non-VAT. But if it is domestic, now you need to hit a domestic. Now, there's a correction here. On the remark column, it is not for export only. It is meant for export only. So domestic goods sent inside the SEZ, it is non-VAT as long as it is for export. For domestic sales, you need to hit a local content of 40%, like what Pak Fuad said. Next. Now, for import duties, basically here is that again is divided for capital goods, and then it's exempted. But it is for raw material. Again, there's a category. It is for local consumption or it is for export. So that's why you see the word defer there. Now it is for export, eventually it's free. But if it's for local sales, again, you need to hit a local content of 40%. Next. Now, when we talk about non-fiscal incentive, there's a series of other supporting elements that what Pak Fuad have said. I will highlight the key one. The one is basically for ownership. Now, within the SEZ, the negative list on the full ownership, foreigners are allowed to own their business, and the negative list is not applicable. The second thing I want to point out is the limitation of goods. Now, within the SEZ itself, the import of limited goods is actually not applicable, which means that for example, you can import your material. Now, in Indonesia, there are some certain material that is what we call subjected to limitation of import. For example, sugar. Okay, you can import certain amount. Now, within the SEZ, that rule is not applicable. Next thing I want to point out is the one-stop service. Now, there is a SEZ administrator. This is very important. There is an administrator office that will facilitate all business licensing and requirement for the investor within the SEZ. That's something that our investors so far have found it to be useful. We're actually in the process of setting this up, like what Fuad said. There are some processes we're setting, or we're in the process of setting this up. And our investors so far have indicated a very positive response to this. They found it very useful. They find it very helpful. Next. The immigration, this is another element that our investors find it helpful. So within the SEZ itself, there are certain relaxational rules. For example, the visa on arrival can be extended 5 times. You can also have temporary resident status for foreign work. And this is exactly very, very important for the factories. Some of them actually have foreign workers on a very short temporary basis to set up the machine, to set up some part of thing that they actually require this kind of temporary arrangement. And we find it very useful. Next. To show actually how the SEZ, the regulation, everything works well, we walk you through the example of Kendal itself. The company is called PT Kawasan Industry Kendal, but we call it Kendal Industrial Park for short. Now, our topic, our motto is cost competitive location for global market. That's our motto. Next. It is important here for me to share that despite the fact that Kawasan Kendal Industrial Park is developed by 2 private sector, this project received the national attention of both leaders of the national leaders of Indonesia as well as Singapore. Next. It was opened in 2016 by President Jokowi and Prime Minister Lee. Now, since then, Kendal Industrial Park has become a national agenda, agenda between the 2 countries. In 2017, we talk about polytechnic and training. In 2018, we talk about incentive, which eventually led to the formation of Kawasan Economic Ecosystem for Kendal. Now, in 2018 and 2019, we are talking about the regulation and also the setting of the port. Next. Now, a little bit of a shareholder that's very important. You need to know who is behind Kendal Industrial Park. Next. It is actually owned by Jabopeka of Indonesia and Sembcorp of Singapore. Next. Now, Sembcorp is actually a subsidiary of Temasek Holding. It's a public listed company. Next. Within Asia itself, we have 8 industrial parks in Vietnam, 4 in China, 2 in Indonesia, and recently we just set up 1 in Myanmar. We have a total of 15. Next. For Jabopeka itself, it was first established in 89, listed in 94. Now, Jabopeka has been in existence since for 31 years and is able to bring it with it the 31 years of experience to Kendal Industrial Park. Next. This is a page I want to point. Now, the right-hand corner is a research at a comment done by Pricewaterhouse. Now, in the research, it expressed that Indonesia could become the world's 5th largest economy by 2030. Now, that's very important for us to bear in mind, the long-term view, the prospect of Indonesia in future. Next. To talk about Kendal, we need to talk about Central Java. Next. Central Java has a population of 34.25 million. Very important for us to notice, 17.3 million is actually what called a youth population. We call a demographic bonus, which is available for employment, a huge supply of labor here. Next. This is one of my favorite maps. Now you see that this is Java Island. Now you see Central Java is like a handle, like a connecting point between East and Java. It's like a barbell, you know. East Java and West Java are the weights, and Central Java is the one carrying the weight. Now, Central Java is actually an hour from Jakarta, an hour to Surabaya. Traveling distance on land is 470 kilometers, and traveling overland from Central Semarang to Surabaya is only 300. In fact, lately we have a lot of people traveling from Jakarta, West Java, overland to Central Java and to Kendal. And that's likewise, we see a lot of people visiting us from Surabaya using the new toll road. Next. This is Kendal itself. It has a population of slightly under 1 million. Again, good to notice that we have a huge population of almost 500,000 people. Next. This is what we call the strategic location. Kendal Industrial Park is strategically located. It is only 25 kilometers away from the international port of Tanjung Mas, 21 kilometers away from the city of Semarang, and 20 kilometers away from international port Amir Mani. Next. Next. Now, our vision is to develop a fully integrated industrial township offering high quality services and next. This is the master plan of Kendal Industrial Park. We have two phases. The first phase is 1,000. The second phase is 1,200. This is on the left and right of it. Now you can see that Kendal Industrial Park is actually development cluster. We're having fashion cluster, which is a food cluster, electronic, and we also have commercial area. Next. This is a 6 positioning of industrial. The first one is food, and understandably, because Central Java has a lot of natural resources. Next is furniture. And we, in fact, actually have a polytechnic ready for manpower availability, training, staff training. Next, we have fashion, which is textile and downstream, which is a sportwear. Next, automotive, electronic, and others. Now, others here, we have logistics, packaging, and chemical. Next. This is actually the status of Kendal Industrial Park as of end of November 2020. End of November 2020, we have 63 tenants. Now, as of today, it has become 65. Our latest actually is one is in the food, the other one is actually in the packaging. Now, you look at a split, we have fashion, electronic, packaging, that's a split. In terms of nationality, 27% come from China, Taiwan 18, Indonesia 47, and then we have 1% Malaysia, 1% Japan, 1% South Korea, 1% Hong Kong, and 4% Singapore. Next. This is the condition of the land that we hand over. We fill the land and make ready for the developer, the investor to build the factory. Next. Why would actually investor be keen? What are our advantages? Now, we found out that investors prefer or choose us because of 6 reasons. I will go through one by one. Next. The first reason is the macro infrastructure. You see this map actually tells more or less the entire story of Kendal Industrial Park. Now you see, it is connected via the national toll road to Semarang, to East and West Java. Okay. It is also connected by way of the railway, you can see that. And in future, there is what we call a Semarang Outer Ring Road. Now that will connect Kendal Industrial Park to the Tanjung Mas existing port. Even more important is that we will be developing an international seaport soon in Kendal itself. Now that will connect Kendal Industrial Park to the world. That's what we just saw, global business. Next. This is actually the new port that we're talking about. The one that you see in front basically is the existing port. The one you see behind the new international port. Next. This is the second major advantage that people looking at Kendal Industrial Park, which is the competitive labor wage. Now you see here, we put in 2020, in terms of rupiah, per month is 2.2 million. Now if compared to say West Java, Bekasi is 4.5, Jakarta is 4.2. Now if you compare to East Java itself, Kresik is 4.1, Surabaya 4.2. Now we are extremely competitive in that sense. Next. Third reason is the fact is that we have a huge available of skilled labor. Just now we talked about Central Java having 34.2 1.25 million people. Now, not only the fact that we have a huge population, more important that a lot of university learning institutions are in Central Java. There are 378 universities, and every year we have 111,000 graduates. More importantly, if you see on the right-hand column, you see vocational school. Now we're working with various vocational schools. You see down there the program. You see the food, for example. There are 594 students, male, 3,000 female. This is what we call an annual intake of the vocational school. What we are working on in Kendal Industrial Park is to link the factories together with the institution, the vocational institute, and also the university. Now, this is what we call a link and match program. This is what we call not only the huge availability, but more important, we are making sure that these are skillful to be used. Next. The fourth reason people are choosing Kendal Industrial Park is the one-stop service. Now, we offer help with licensing, manpower recruitment, on-site logistics, security patrol, and estate management. What we are trying to say to our investors is that you just come in, we will try to ease what we call the startup process for them. Now, a lot of our investors actually find this approach, these services that we offer very helpful to them. Next. The fifth reason is the infrastructure. Now, we actually developed into two kinds of infrastructure, the micro infrastructure and the macro infrastructure. What we are talking about here is a micro infrastructure within the park. Now, we are making available water supply, power, wastewater. We are having a wastewater treatment center, telecommunication, drainage system. So you do not need to worry about the fact that this area is flooded. In fact, I got this question this morning. Will Kendal Industrial Park have flooded? No, we don't have that, because our drainage system ensure that there is a proper movement of water when it rains to the sea. So there's a proper drainage system, security, road system, and landscaping. Next. This part is the tax benefit that we just now talk about. So we talk about income tax, the import tax, value added, and exercise tax. Next. Now I'll show you, this is the table that we talked about just now. Based on the amount that you invest, then you can actually qualify for a certain time frame. Let's say for 100 billion, for example, you qualify yourself to say about 10 years, then the 50 represent 50% reduction. That's what it means. Okay, that's the table. Now, when we talk about investment value, we are saying the land cost, building cost, machinery, equipment, any cost related to physical asset procurement. That's what we talked about. Next. Here, let me share with you the video of Kendal Industrial Park.
Just a moment, Pak.
Yeah. Main road. Treatment. There's a polytechnic developed by Ministry of Industry. All this land left and right have been sold. right is actually the top leading apparel from Taiwan. Thank you. Thank you. We'll begin the last page.
Yep. Just a moment.
Thank you. Now, those are my information. You can contact me via email or through my WhatsApp, and we can connect up with you if you have any question. Thank you very much. Back to you, Pak Robi.
Thank you, Pak Stanley.
Yeah.
So, Pinkan, I guess we can move to the Q&A
Yep. Yes,
session, right?
So we would like to invite the participants. If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute your microphone, state your name and your organization, and fire away with your questions. Silahkan kalau ada yang mau bertanya ke Pak Fuad ataupun ke Pak Stanley.
Also, if the question is very specific or very technical about a certain topic, don't hesitate to ask in Bahasa Indonesia also.
Actually, maybe I will start, Pak Robi.
Go ahead.
Maybe this is to Pak Fuad, Pak. I have a question actually from our member. They have already a factory in Jakarta. If they move or they establish another factory in a special economic zone, will they be able to experience all the benefits, Pak, from that special economic zone? Or is it only for those companies who are relocating from overseas? Pak Fuad?
Pak Fuad,
yeah. So thank you, Bu Pinkan, for your question. Actually, based on the rules and regulations, all investors may benefit, even for a new investment or also the expansion. Expansion means that investor means expand their business by diversification of their investment and made a new investment capital in economic zones. They may eligible for the incentive, Pinkan, as long as they meet the main activity of in the special economic zones.
The criteria as well. Yeah.
The criteria, as already mentioned by Pak Stanley. But as I already mentioned to you, that we have two fiscal incentive scheme based on this in special economic zones that already eligible for the main activities in special economic zone that already enacted based on the master plan already mentioned by Pak Stanley. As you know, that government will enact it, the main activities that proposed by the owner, by the coordinating ministry regulation, and on those business field, they eligible for this tax holiday scheme based on the special economic zones. But if the business activities are outside of the main activities enacted by the coordinating ministries on economic regulations, they may still choose the tax holiday scheme, as already mentioned by Pak Stanley, based on our regular basis. Regular basis means as long as they meet the 18 pioneer industries based on the Ministry of Finance Regulation number 35, if I'm not mistaken, latest, they can still may enjoy. So they can choose which one in terms of the corporate income tax.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Fuad.
So, Pak Fuad, I just follow up to your answer just now, because this is actually a question that I have been asked by some other people, some other company as well. So currently there is a fiscal incentive that is under what you call pioneer industry, right? Pioneer segment 18 pioneer industry, if I'm not mistaken. And those are not necessarily, those are valid for investment everywhere, right? But what not only in the special economic zone, but even outside of special economic zone, correct? So in the special economic zone, is that means that the fiscal incentive is more than those 18 pioneer industries, or depending on the main activity of the special economic zone, or there is an overlap with, it has to be within the 18?
Yeah, in the case if the investment is located in special economic zones, the main activities that eligible for the tax holiday means corporate income tax, as already mentioned, is based on the proposal from the owner and based on the master plan that will be developed for the special economic zones. So it is based on their plan actually. So just government just enacted.
I see.
So for example, as already mentioned by Pak Stanley, if the special economic zones in Kendal is mentioned textile industry as their main activities in the special economic zones of Kendal, and if already enacted by the coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs regulation, so any investment in textile industries based in special economic zones in Kendal that will eligible for the corporate income tax. But as you know that based on our current Ministry of Finance regulation on tax holiday scheme for the 18 pioneer industries, the textile industry is not eligible for that.
I see.
So maybe you understand in technical way I explained to you, Pak Robi.
Yeah. From what our interpretation, at least from some discussion that I have with several companies, is that in the special economic zone, provided that your activities falls under the focus of the special economic zone, it is more flexible to get the fiscal incentive. Correct, Pak Fuad?
Pak Robi, I just want to underline that government developed the special economic zones by provide the ultimate fiscal incentives just only in the special economic zones. But to be frankly, I will explain to you, and also maybe Pak Stanley are already aware that currently that the Ministry of Finance regulation in order to implementation of GR12 2020 that I already mentioned to you, is not yet published, still under discussion with internally in the government. So in order to provide the investor the solution for their investment, they may choose by using the Ministry of Finance Regulation 1.5 2016 based on the implementation of GR number 96, or they may choose by the Ministry of Finance Regulation on the tax holiday scheme in the regular basis, as I already mentioned to you.
Thank you, Pak Fuad. Go ahead. If there is any other question, I would encourage the participant to directly unmute yourself and ask any of the two speakers.
I have a question, Pak Robi.
Go ahead, Randy.
I will ask to Pak Fuad regarding the tax holiday in the Kawasan Industri Kendal. When the best estimation for the regulation will be signed by the ministry, because it will many company waiting this regulation in order to start investment in the Kawasan Industri Kendal, Pak Fuad. So please maybe can give the update when the best estimation, because I heard that the regulation actually maybe in estimation is this year, but it's already will be the end of this year. So maybe if there is any update, please kindly to explain. Thank you, Pak Fuad.
Can I answer, Pak Robi?
Please go ahead, Pak.
Yeah, Pak Effendi, as you know that I already mentioned in earlier discussion that government still committed in order to finalizing the GR government regulation in order to implementation of CK Law number 11/2020 targeted in the early of January 2021. So one of the GR that already prepared is the GR for the incentive and facilities in special economic zones. And hopefully, the Ministry of Finance Regulation will also as well enact it after the GR.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Fuad.
Anyone else like to answer to ask questions? No. Okay, Pak Robi, I don't think it's either the participant are very shy or there is no more questions.
Uping kan mau izin?
Silakan Pak Fuad.
Kalau saya coba memperjelas dalam bahasa Indonesia,
boleh,
takutnya nanti salah paham.
Boleh.
Jadi
silakan, Pak Fuad.
Saya harus bicara jujur ke Bu Pinkan, Pak Robi, Pak Effendi. Kalau Peraturan Menteri Keuangan untuk Peraturan Menteri Keuangan yang 105 2016 itu memang less atraktif dengan Peraturan Menteri Keuangan yang untuk regular basis sekarang. Jadi memang kondisinya memang seperti itu. Ini memang ada internally lah sebenarnya di pemerintah ini. Jadi sebenarnya harapan untuk mereform tax holiday untuk yang di special economic zones itu adalah implementasi dari PP 12 2020. Tadi yang disampaikan Pak Effendi, memang targetnya kemarin harus keluar di Oktober, Pak Effendi.
Ya, betul.
Tapi begitu Undang-Undang CK ini keluar, kemudian itu kan 2 November, dan kebetulan ada 39 pasal yang diadres di Undang-Undang CK itu. Salah satu pasalnya terkait dengan insentif baru yang diusulkan untuk di Special Economic Zones. Nah, karena harus menampung satu fasilitas ini, yaitu kalau nggak salah itu fasilitas pajak penghasilan untuk per orang OPH ya, orang perorangan. Nah ini harus diatur di peraturan Menteri Keuangan. Nah tapi kan GR-nya harus direvisi sedikit, begitu Pak Effendi. Jadi semoga targetnya pemerintah ini kan kalau tidak salah targetnya tuh Januari 2021 Pak Effendi itu harus semuanya selesai, dan seharusnya sih peraturan Menteri Keuangannya harus keluar sebulan setelah itu Pak. Jadi nggak cuma berlaku untuk BKPM saja Pak. Jadi semuanya peraturan pelaksanaan dari PP itu harus terbit dalam 1 bulan setelah PP keluar.
Jadi PMK-nya itu 1 bulan setelah PP keluar harus sudah keluar gitu Pak?
Iya. Kalau nggak keluar ya berarti itu udah harus leadership-nya Pak Presiden ya Pak ya. Yang penting kami menyampaikan itu targetnya. Terutama khusus BKPM Pak.
Ya.
Khusus BKPM. Jadi PP itu keluar itu ada, kami kan ada yang nyangkut tidak hanya ketentuan pelaksanaan tapi juga terkait sistemnya juga.
Ya.
Sistem OSS ini kan reform, completely new scheme reform, benar-benar reform. Nah itu kami diminta dalam waktu maksimal 3 bulan. Itu sistem itu harus ready. Ya, itu targetnya dari Presiden ke Pak Kepala ya Pak ya. Jadi pertanggungjawabannya sudah ke level menteri ya Pak ya. Begitu Pak. Bapak Ibu mohon izin saya harus jelaskan dalam bahasa Indonesia biar lebih paham.
No problem Pak, no problem.
Pak. Mungkin ada yang mau bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia juga mungkin lebih nyaman, silahkan.
Ya peraturan ini sebenarnya terus terang kita tunggu-tunggu Pak Fuad. Jadi kita sangat menanti nih Pak supaya kita bisa segera eksekusi Pak Fuad untuk investasinya Pak.
Ya mohon maaf Pak Robi, saya harus ngomong jujur nih. Ya memang dari setiap kali ditanya Pak Stanley kapan keluar Pak, kapan keluar, itu saya selalu jawab Oktober, Agustus. Karena memang rapat di tingkat internal tingkat menteri ya ngomongnya seperti itu Pak ya. Saya kan sampaikan apa adanya ya. Targetnya Oktober.
Oke,
ternyata nggak keluar ya Pak Stanley ya. Mohon maaf
iya,
ya Pak Stanley.
Ini, Pak, ini kita sudah mau lari nih Pak. Jadi running platformnya belum ada Pak.
Pak Fuad, boleh saya bantu ya Pak?
Iya.
Sebetulnya Pak Effendi sama teman-teman, jadi pada saat kami meeting sama kantor pajak, bea cukai yang lain, sebetulnya sampai tingkat ke level dia Ditjen, pada umumnya sudah sepahaman. Dan secara konten pun tidak ada masalahnya. Jadi pada saat meeting-meeting itu pun sudah mengatakan bahwa permintaan investor ini bisa diakomodir gitu. Walaupun PMK belum kan. Jadi ini intinya ada etika dan ada tindakan bahwa level develop birokrasi sampai Ditjennya mereka tidak tolak bahwa apa yang investornya minta masalahnya mereka mau selesaikan. Itu sudah ada etika sampai lah. Bahwa BMK ini ada produk menterinya tentunya ada kesulitan di sini Pak Fuad, betul ya? Ya kan? Ya, sekarang dengan cipta kerjanya kita sekarang sudah istilahnya ada sibuk dengan APP ya. Ya, jadi yang keturunannya. Jadi tentunya sekarangnya mungkin dari segi waktunya mungkin ada geser-geserannya. Tapi di sininya pada saat kita meeting dengan beberapa instansinya, bea cukai, imigrasi, pajaknya, sudah ada satu kepahaman yang sama. Sebetulnya yang saya dapatkan. Ya, Pak Fuad ada koreksi, Pak?
Ya, just sedikit komentar, just to comment both Pak Fuad dan Pak Stanley. We understand, all the investors, all the companies understand bahwa Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja is such a big things. There are so many points addressed in that there are, after the Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja signed by the President, yes, but there are so many other implementing regulation that is needed, that many companies are needed, not only in the special economic zone investment, but also with regard to the labor law, to regard to dividend tax, and those many other things. So I think these are we are in the period of waiting. Many companies are in the period of waiting because, as you know, many companies, Swisscom member included, that if they have a new project, we ask our consultant and so on from the headquarter. We ask the consultant and so on. Okay, show us the clear regulation and so on. And sometimes the answer is always, okay, this is the law, the Cipta Kerja law, but we are still waiting for the implementing regulation. So that's always been the answer. So that's why it's this is the period where sometimes it's create confusion and discussion. So because then people is asking, so is this real or not? Is this going to happen or not? Then we always, our answer is always saying that yes, it is. It's signed by the president. So just bear with us. So ya begitu ya Pak Fuad ya. Hopefully Januari lah.
Hopefully Pak, hopefully sambil berdoa Pak kita.
Yeah.
Mohon izin, maaf Pak Robi, in order to answer your enlightenment Pak Robi. As you know that, of course, this is targeted by our President, Pak. January 2021 has to be enacted, all the GR. But of course, our President has also mentioned that we have only 3 focusing on as a quick win, yeah, as a quick win is the GR for the business licensing. This is the main priority GR that has to be ready on January 2021, because as you know that as already mentioned by Pak Stanley ya Pak ya, we experiencing the COVID pandemic this year Pak, is very difficult for us and it's also challenging for the next year, but it is time for us Pak internally in order to have some reform Pak, in order to prepare that anything the investment climate hopefully will improve next year. So when the pandemic COVID have some indication to can be settling down. So hopefully the economic will run very fast. So the secondly is I will try to share to you also that last week is the term for the government to have some internally discussion for the public consultation, to have some input from the internally central, regional, and stakeholders, to have some inputs on the draft of GR. So hopefully, as based on the timeline that given by the coordinating ministry for economic affairs, this week or next week, this is the term for the public consultation for public, open for public. So the draft GR can be accessed for our public to have some input to give the government some input on their side, inside of the about the policy that should be input in the GR. So this is chance for the public and also for investors to have some input for government. And the last thing is I still optimistic, Pak, because I joined the team for the 5 GR, Pak. It's very challenging, Pak. Day by day, Pak. Saturday and Mondays also have some meeting, Pak. Not enough 24/7, Pak. So Saturday Monday is always meeting Pak in order to prepare.
We understand how challenging the situation is. I think yeah, I mean, this is the Cipta Kerja is such a massive effort to structurally change the ease of doing business, which is very much appreciated. There was a discussion in the Geneva Chamber of Commerce organized by Indonesia Embassy in Bern and Geneva Chambers of Commerce, and there are a lot of talk about that, a lot of interest and praising Indonesian government about doing that. Now comes the hard work, of course, how to implement those laws. Yeah.
Mungkin terakhir saja Pak Robi, Bu Pinkan, karena belum ada yang bertanya.
Ya.
Terkait dengan Undang-Undang Cipta terkait dengan Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja, ini biar nanti Ibu juga dan Pak Robi share ke tim ke Chamber of System Colleague di situ. Mungkin kalau Ibu tanya kami dari sisi technical way, ini technical way nih Pak. Jadi saya ini technical juga meskipun kami ini sudah di level middle management. Jadi Undang-Undang CK ini jawaban buat kami Pak, mohon maaf. Saya harus jawab jujur. But in technical way ya. Karena begitu kami menyampaikan rekomendasi perbaikan kebijakan, selalu yang kita temukan adalah benturan kepada undang-undang. Itu yang kami selalu, dan kalau di kami kan bertanggung jawab di kawasan ya Pak, itu hampir tuh 23 undang-undang, kami udah identifikasi, kami selalu terbentur. Undang-undang ini, undang-undang ini, undang-undang ini. Jadi in technical way itu memang kita kebenturan di undang-undang. Nah, di Undang-Undang CK ini nggak ada 78 undang-undang Pak, yang memang harus direform terkait dengan investasi ini harus dismoothkan. Nah ini sebenarnya kalau dari sisi kami technical ini jawaban kami di teman-teman BKPM. Karena dengan begitu artinya nanti diimplementasinya GR-nya ini harus selaras semuanya, baik nanti ada 40 PP itu harus selaras dengan semangat dari Undang-Undang CK ini. Nah, CK ini kan juga tidak untuk investasi saja ya Pak ya, tapi ini juga membuka kegiatan untuk UMK kepada teman-teman di SMEs untuk bisa lebih mudah berusaha dan pemerintah memberikan kemudahan-kemudahan di situ. Jadi saya tidak akan berbicara dalam aspek yang lain, dari angle-angle yang lain, tapi saya hanya bicara dari sisi teknis di investasi. UCK ini jawaban buat kami. Jadi tergantung sekarang bagaimana kita menyiapkan piranti-piranti untuk ketentuan pelaksanaannya Pak. Begitu Pak, mungkin saya ingin memberikan spirit yang sama nih, biar semangat. Begitu Pak.
Terima kasih.
Baik. Pak Robi, mungkin karena tidak ada pertanyaan lagi, kita tutup saja. Gimana?
Oke, saya oke dengan ya.
Oke, kalau begitu we will close our discussion for today, and we thank you for everyone who participated today. Special thank to Pak Fuad from BKPM. Terima kasih Bapak atas waktunya. To Mr. Stanley Eng, thank you for your time to give us such an insightful presentation and discussion. And of course, thank you to Pak Robi, who's always been a good moderator and a good sectoral group head for our chamber. So thank you everyone who participated today. The presentation material will be sent to you via email. If you have any further questions, please do not hesitate to email SwissCham@Secretariat. Thank you everyone and have a good afternoon.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Terima kasih
Terima kasih banyak Pak Fuad.
Thank you Pak
Thank you Pak
Stanley.
Ya.
Sukses untuk KEK Kendal ya.
Ya, sama-sama Pak. Nanti bertemu lagi.
Bapak, Ibu, salam kenal. Sukses selalu, jaga kesehatan. Semangat selalu Pak.
Terima kasih Pak Fuad.
Ya.